And welcome to another edition of the Preds video recap as the Nashville Predators defeat the Minnesota Wild by a score of 4-2. One thing to point out before we dive into what happened in the game that transpired. Bruce Boudreau going with Alex Stalock instead of Devan Dubnyk. Quite an interesting decision by Bruce Boudreau to go with Alex Stalock over Devan Dubnyk and keep Dubnyk rested for the Arizona Coyotes game that they'll have at home tomorrow night. But the numbers that Alex Stalock have against the Nashville Predators aren't very encouraging. In the 3 previous career games that Alex Stalock has played against the Nashville Predators, Alex Stalock has recorded 0 wins and 3 losses against the Nashville Predators with a save percentage of 91%. While his previous career save percentage against the Nashville Predators ain't that bad, it's nothing really to go home and brag about, especially when that save percentage took a dip from 91% to .905. In the first 4 minutes and 7 seconds, you would see both teams trading power play opportunities by one another, and you would notice that both power plays looked worlds apart from each other, at least from the start. The Minnesota Wild would get their first power play of the night 9 seconds in after Victor Arvidsson interfered with Eric Staal, but the Minnesota Wild would struggle mightily on that man advantage. While the Minnesota Wild were 2 for 1 on the man advantage on that power play, they just struggled all across the board on that opportunity, as pretty much whenever they were able to set up in their formations, there were just certain passes that just weren't connecting, whether a retriever stick was getting tied up by a defender or certain passes were just getting flubbed whatsoever. Also on that man advantage, you saw the Minnesota Wild wanting to carry the mail across the Preds blue line, but Nashville would then just stack the blue line, poking possession away from the Minnesota Wild and chipping those pucks deep, which then forced the Minnesota Wild then to do a little dump and chase afterwards. Then you would see the Predators' first man advantage of the night after Jonas Brodin tripped up Philip Forsberg, and the Preds would definitely see a lot more success on their man advantage than the Minnesota Wild did on their first power play opportunity. Just like the Minnesota Wild did on their first power play opportunity, the Nashville Predators want some key face-offs in the offensive zone, helping them get into formation, seeing them move the puck around fluidly, and then as you saw with PK Subban shot going off a layer of traffic, Craig Smith pretty much picking up that loose garbage and then putting it in the garbage can for the 1-0 lead. After the Nashville Predators started off this season on the power play 0 for 15, the Nashville Predators in their last 2 games now have 3 power play goals. After the first TV timeout, that's when you would notice the Minnesota Wild had weathered the storm from the Nashville Predators and get themselves back in the game on their second power play opportunity. While Nick Bonino did a great job of getting his stick in those shooting and passing lanes on that penalty kill, the Minnesota Wild just kept finding those loose pucks that eventually led to the stick of Matt Dumba as he whistled one right past Pecorine for the 1-1 tie. The second period would consist of both teams trading goals with each other, with the Nashville Predators having a 1-goal advantage over the Wild after 40 minutes of play, but also those underlying numbers would definitely indicate how close the game was after 40 minutes. The Nashville Predators would lead in shots on goal by only 1. Both teams would share 10 scoring chances. Both teams would share 1 power play goal each. And the Minnesota Wild would be leading in faceoffs won by only 2. The only statistic that had a surmountable difference after 40 minutes of play was that the Nashville Predators had 46 shot attempts compared to the Minnesota Wild's 30 shot attempts. The score wouldn't change throughout the majority of the third period, but the defining moment of tonight's game would be at the 17-18 mark of the third period. Matt Dumba would make a stretch pass all the way from the Minnesota Wild territory up towards Nino Niederreiter as he split past the Predators' defensive pair of Dane Hamhuis and Yannick Weber, going in all alone on Pecorine on a breakaway, but Pecorine doing an outstanding job not making the first move, makes a humongous save to keep the score at 3-2. The Minnesota Wild would get 1 more power play opportunity, but it was quite fitting that after Jared Spurgeon tried to make a pass towards Nashville's favorite player wearing number 20, Ryan Suter couldn't control the pass. Mika Salomaki, Nashville's own number 20, would skate all the way down towards where the puck had got chipped and would bury it into the empty net to pretty much seal the deal at 4-2. I don't think you'll see any Mika's better chance at the next Predators Wild game at Bridgestone Arena, but nonetheless, it was quite fitting that that was the sequence that ended the game for the Nashville Predators. My 3 stars of the game are as followed. My 3rd star of the game goes to Craig Smith. Heck of a night once again for Craig Smith as he scored the Predators' first goal of the game. But you just gotta wonder, the way that Craig Smith has started off this season, what's the ceiling for Craig Smith in the goals department? Is it in the range of 25 to 30, or is it even past 30? We'll find out as the season goes along, but you have to say that Craig Smith has been arguably one of their best forwards, if not their best forward, to start off this season for the Nashville Predators. My 2nd star of the game will go to Kyle Turris. Kyle Turris seemed to be heating up of late offensively, as now he has back-to-back games with at least 1 point in each of those games. Tonight, Kyle Turris benefited from a bad drop pass from Eric Stahl, pretty much stealing that puck away and then making the stretch pass up to Philip Forsberg, as Philip Forsberg extended the Preds' lead to 3-1, and that ended up being the game-winning goal for the Nashville Predators. My 1st star of the game will go to Philip Forsberg. Other than his game-winning goal, Philip Forsberg had 10 shot attempts tonight. 10 shot attempts! So far this season, Philip Forsberg has been a man on a mission to break a mark that has never been reached in Nashville Predators history by becoming the first 40-goal scorer, as pretty much whenever he gets the puck, he's going to let it rip. So all of you goaltenders in the NHL, you have been warned. And now my preview for Predators Flames. While the Nashville Predators have had a hard time beating the Calgary Flames at home, losing 7 of their last 8 games against the Flames at Bridgestone Arena, the Nashville Predators have seen some success at the Saddle Dome as they have won 3 out of their last 4 games in Calgary. With there being a back-to-back stretch between their game against the Flames and their game against the Oilers on Saturday night, you wonder what's their goalie deployment going to be for those 2 games, as we all know Pekka Rinne is amazing against the Oilers. So does that mean UC Saros is the starter against the Flames? That's how I would deploy those goaltenders, is for Saros to start against the Flames and then Pekka against the Oilers, knowing how dominant Pekka Rinne is against the Edmonton Oilers. But that's for Peter Laviolette to decide, so that's going to be very interesting to see how Peter Laviolette deploys his goaltenders going into this back-to-back stretch between the Flames and the Oilers. With the trend of the last 4 games being played at the Saddle Dome, of all games being decided by 2 goals or less, something tells me that trend's going to end and that we're going to see a 3 to 4 goal difference between the Predators and Flames on Friday night. I would not be shocked if the Nashville Predators skated into the Saddle Dome to play the Calgary Flames with a little chip on their shoulder after the Flames spoiled their home opener by imposing their will and beating the Flames by a 3 to 4 goal margin, with UC Saros playing outstanding in net. That should do it for this latest edition of the Preds video recap. If you need any more Preds coverage, go to Penalty Box Radio. They'll have all the Preds articles you'll need, all the Preds podcasts to listen to, and oh yeah, the Preds video recaps are going to be on there as well. My name is Jordan Cimini, and I will see you after Predators versus Flames.